Welcome to the show and our ANZ Championship review that sees the Southern Steel well positioned for a playoff bid after putting in a strong third quarter to see off a much improved Mystics and make it 3 wins in a row. Not finishing so well were the Pulse, who set themselves up for a second win over the Magic before falling at the last hurdle. Earlier in the round, the Tactics were outclassed by the Firebirds. The Thunderbirds stumbled their way across the finish line ahead of the Fever, and the Swifts never looked like upsetting the Vixens. Well, Janine, I imagine that was even more satisfying given the Mystics played so much better this time round.
It was, and I think the girls felt quite pleased at the end of the game that they managed to sort of hold themselves and not fold and then come out dominant at the end of the game.
Don't often go into a game as warm favourites. Did it have an impact mentally?
Yeah, I think it did. I sort of talked about it with the management group yesterday, and then the girls acknowledged it last night. So it's something we're going to have to look at because, it's a bit of an unusual position for us to be in. Not a bad position, but unusual.
Something you may have to get used to because you're getting better each week.
We are, and that's the thing that we've got, better than before. So every week we're looking to be better than what we were. There's certainly aspects of our game we weren't happy with, and we'll have to look at those and address them at training this week. But, I think the way that they are holding themselves under pressure and not capitulating when we get a couple of goals down, and they just have that belief that they can come back and score so quickly to be able to do that.
Your start wasn't ideal. You're having a little bit of trouble feeding.
Yeah, they did a good job and they've done their homework on us, and I think most teams will, is if you can shut our feeding down, you can shut Janelle down, and that's something that we've really got to address, and the girls just have to be better at what they do.
You got within a point at half time. Did you suspect that third quarter was going to go as well as it did?
Look, I just thought we needed a bit of a change in there for a start, just to mix it up, and it wasn't that anyone was doing a bad job, it was more we just needed to change dynamics, and that happens sometimes. And, Phoenix came on, and I knew that she'd get some of that high ball going in because of her elevation, and she did, and that really, I think, lifted the team, and that's when they started going forward.
You did make a couple of bold calls, but both Courtney and Sulu have been playing particularly well.
They have been, and again, sometimes it's the dynamics you've got to look at, and we needed that change last night to really start us again.
Kayla Cullen was playing well. She went off. That seemed to help a little.
Look, she had a great 3 quarters of the game, and it certainly probably opened up a little bit more in that last part when she went off. But I think, to be fair, Shannon had actually quietened her a little bit towards the end of the third quarter and going into the fourth quarter. So, I think that's you've got to be able to stay the distance at this level.
It's easy just to look at shooting stats and treat them simply, but when you look at 98%, that's astonishing.
Oh, it's amazing. I think Janelle was 59 from 61 and Jodie was 14 from 14. So, I think credit to those two for that effort, and for the rest of the team for supplying that ball for them.
We saw a different game from Jodie, didn't we, from the week before?
Yeah, look, she knew that she hadn't stepped up from a shooting perspective last week, so that was a big work on for her over the week, and she cut around in that circle and got into her favourite shooting positions and was confident to put them up, which is great.
There's lots to talk about the tallest person in the team, but let's go to the shortest person, Philippa Finch. Her contribution continues to be relentless.
Absolutely, and Phil is almost the heart and soul, the backbone of the team, really. She's nuggety on defence, she's in for everything. She puts a lot of pressure on the outside feeders for our defence to come up with ball, and then on attack, she drives really hard, she's always available, she's just relentless, I guess, and such a hard worker. And I think I've known Phil for a very long time, and I just think her game's really grown and developed over those years, and I think she's playing some of the best netball she's ever played.
Another one I thought played well was Wendy Free, I should say. I get out of that habit eventually. A couple of crucial moments where she turned the game in your favour.
Yeah, she did, and that's something that she's definitely been working on. She's obviously come back from having a baby last year, and it's been a huge effort for Wendy to get back out on court again. So every week again I think she's getting better, and she nailed some intercepts that she wasn't nailing at the start of the year, and that's the stuff that helps turn the game, and she was everywhere last night. So I think she was up against it. Grace Rasmussen was playing really well, and I think Wendy, it certainly got to her by the end of the game as well.
How crucial was that last 3 or 4 minutes in the third quarter for the game's outcome?
Oh, look, I think it was huge because I think we scored 5 or 6 in a row, and that really knocked the socks off them a little bit. And once we had that belief and those connections going again, I think we were unstoppable in that last quarter.
Were you surprised that Catherine Ladu not played? Everyone else around New Zealand says this New Zealand shooter not getting court time now.
Oh, a little bit. We did suspect it might happen because we've seen her benched in the last couple of weeks, so we all, and felt probably from what we'd seen that the Mystics had a little bit more connection going in there. So I guess Ruth's in a position that she's got to try different things. It wasn't working how it was working, so she needs to relook at it as a coach. But I think Catherine's a quality player, and she'll take this hard, and I'm sure she'll have a good look at herself and come out again as strong, if not stronger, than she's been in the past.
I think we all know that to have true semi-final aspirations, the results against the Magic are going to be critical. You've got them first up. This is going to be a mouth-watering clash, isn't it?
It is, and that puts a whole new dimension and pressure on the girls. If you do well, that's great, and everyone loves a try, but we've got to go out and we've got to take this game.
They have a similar aspects to their game, a very tall shooter and a single target. There'll be comparisons there, no doubt.
I'm sure there will. Irene's probably developed her game a little bit more over the last few years and is a lot more mobile. But at the end of the day, she's still extremely tall and very accurate, and we need to shut her down.
Their defence, probably one of the best in the competition, if not the best. The true test for Janelle's maturity, perhaps.
Absolutely, but it's not just about Janelle, it's about how our feeders bring the ball to her. Jodie needs to have another strong game and put those shots in, and we know that it's not going to be one person that wins this game. It's actually a whole team, and it's all of the 14 squad members, and the work that we do this week will be crucial. And
Laura Langman, outstanding player that she is, can dictate terms?
Absolutely, and she's a key player for them, so we know that if we can put some pressure on her, it does put pressure on the rest of the team.
You got an idea what your starting lineup is now after last, experimenting at the weekend?
Look, I haven't sort of thought too hard about it. I've got a few ideas, but I just need to watch the game again and see how we pull up through training this week. But I suspect we may not just see the whole 7 out there for a whole. There might need to be some changes in there just to keep going.
But you're in a lovely position where you're actually comparing talent with talent and not just wondering who to play there because you've got an injury.
Oh, absolutely. And, the fact that the girls are putting that pressure on each other, and, the girls on the bench want to be on court, so they're working really hard to show in at trainings that they deserve to be out there too, which helps lift the girls that are out there too.
And another weekend of some odd results. We've got the Fever. I don't know how you follow their form, pushing the Thunderbirds all the way.
Yeah, look, again, any team can take any team in this competition at the moment. This year seems to be the one for those results. And I think the Fever at home particularly, the commentators were saying yesterday they grow another leg. So we've got them looming in the near future. We need to be really conscious of what they're doing. But the big focus this week really is on the Magic.
And a full house will only help.
Yeah, we hope. We really appreciate the support we get, particularly in Invercargill, and know that does lift the team. It was a bit odd after being 2 weeks at home to be away in Auckland last night and hear the other team getting more cheers than us. So I think the girls will be looking forward to getting home this weekend.
That was one of your goals, I think you stated last week. You wanted to win on the road in New Zealand.
Yeah, and that's the first time we've done it this year. Second time we beat the Tactics at home, but we haven't been consistent, and we probably needed to, do that to the Pulse, and that was a narrow loss, and that's something that we need to, when we face them at home, nail that one too.
You're ticking a lot of boxes though, aren't you? These little targets and goals that you set.
Yeah, look, we are, and I think each week the aim is we go back to is to be better than before, and I think the girls are really taking that challenge with two hands and showing that they can, and there's always areas we can fix, and that we haven't had the perfect game, and we don't want it just yet. We want to keep building.
What's been the best game, do you think, in terms of overall performance on the court for the whole match?
I actually think our performance against the Mystics first time was more complete, but there's been aspects of other games that I think have been better than that. And, I think last week's game against the Swifts, we showed some real character and backbone, and they really took it to us, and it was against the Australian style, which traditionally we haven't coped with as well. So from that perspective, I feel that we've actually had overcome another wee obstacle there. And then last night again, we didn't have the great start, but we didn't drop our heads, and we kept fighting, and we just kept waiting for those opportunities to come, and they came, and we pounced on them. So I think the growth in the team from that perspective is huge. So yeah.
So the Magic continue to be the only Kiwi spanner in the Aussie works at the top of the table, heading the steel on the goal differential formula, and it's beginning to look like there'll only be one spot for a New Zealand franchise in the Final Four to contest. The Pulse cannot afford another loss if they want to be in that mix. The Tactics, Swifts and Mystics are struggling to even be spoilers on current form. All eyes on the Steel Magic game next Saturday afternoon.